Thank you, Justin, and the Buddhistdoor Global for inviting me to participate in this online conference. Greetings to all participants, speakers, and sponsors. I am looking forward to learning from each of you. May you and I and all beings everywhere realize peace, happiness, understanding, and compassion. May it be so. My root teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, in Zen and the Art of Saving the Earth, said it this way: when you wake up and you see the earth is not just the environment, the earth is us. You touch the nature of interbeing. And at that moment, you can have real communication with the earth. We have to wake up together. And if we wake up together, then we have a chance. Our way of living our life and planning our future has led us into this situation. And now we need to look deeply to find a way out, not only as individuals, but as a collective, a species. One of the perspectives in this brief talk is my engaged Buddhist practice and the transformative tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh. And I'm particularly grateful for my teachers, Doctors Larry Ward and Peggy Rowe Ward. Thank you so much. Well, what is my own short story of caring for people and planet related to climate chaos, ecocide, and other interconnected global and local crises? I am grateful that for over 5 decades, I have been engaged professionally in international sustainable development. First, for 22 years, I worked with a nonprofit, the Institute of Cultural Affairs, ICA, living and working in urban slums and poor rural villages in South Korea, Oklahoma, Jamaica, and Venezuela, conducting community, organizational, and leadership development initiatives. I learned so much from the local people and cultures. Then for 16 years with United Nations Development Program, UNDP, as policy advisor of decentralized governance, I served the 193 member states of the UN, providing policy advice and designing and coordinating programs that improve the urban environment and lives of millions of slum dwellers. This is where I began to wake up to the reality of climate chaos. Then for 10 years with the New York University, NYU, Wagner Graduate School of Public Service, I enjoyed teaching innovative leadership for sustainable development to young professionals from many countries. It was in 2009, while helping facilitate a global conference held in Brazil, that I was seized by the urgency of climate change, adaptation, and mitigation. After that, I gave 12 talks between 2010 and 2019 in 5 countries at UN and other conferences around the world, calling for ecological and compassionate action. Then for the past 5 years, my service has been as a nonfiction author and climate justice activist. This is the part I would like to focus on in this brief talk. I've been engaged in Buddhist study and practice for over 30 years, primarily in the Zen tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh, but also in the Tibetan tradition. After being raised a Christian, attending a Christian theological seminary, and being in an ecumenical Christian family order, I discovered the healing wisdom of the Dharma that acknowledges suffering, shows how to relieve suffering, the truth of impermanence, the joy of interbeing, and the call to a life of compassionate action to relieve the suffering of all beings everywhere. How can speaking and writing globally and acting locally from an engaged Buddhist perspective help with climate chaos and ecocide mitigation and adaptation? Through my published books of the past 5 years, I've tried to help people around the world wake up to our critical situation and to take the needed actions. 2 of my books, A Compassionate Civilization, The Urgency of Sustainable Development and Mindful Activism, And also the critical decade, 2020 to 2029, calls to ecological compassionate leadership, deal explicitly with climate chaos mitigation and adaptation and nurturing a regenerative environment and society with several interconnected strategies, including promoting gender equality, socioeconomic justice, participatory governance, cultural tolerance, and peace and nonviolence. I'd like to just read a brief excerpt from A Compassionate Civilization, very brief. Practicing compassion and wisdom. It has been said that compassion and wisdom are the two inseparable wings of the bird of awakening, allowing movement through life's other often volatile currents. Compassion is suffering with and vowing to relieve another's suffering as one's own. Wisdom is the understanding of the fundamental nature of reality, its utter interdependence and continuous transformation. As we negotiate the early years of this make or break century, we need to cultivate and manifest these two skillful means in mind, body, speech, and action. Fortunately, there are many practices to help us do this, including meditation, ethical studies, yoga, journaling, movement, art, reading, spending time in nature, volunteering, prayer, contemplation, liturgy, and being part of a practice community. The most important practice, however, I found, is to bring mindfulness and kindness into our daily lives, moment by moment. Another three of my books include awareness and actions related to present environmental and social crises and opportunities. These are Earthling Love, Living Poems, my autobiography, Serving People and Planet in Mystery, Love, and Gratitude, and Society, Spirit, Self, Essays of the One Dance. Just want to read you one poem about the earth in Earthling Love. Earth, our only home, precious beyond priceless, gift of the universe, our mother who gives us life. Earth, our only home, we cherish you and vow to keep you safe from harm. We swoon at your stunning beauty of your land. Earth, our only home, we give you thanks for air and water. We delight in your plants and animals. We celebrate each of your humans. Earth, our only home, we vow to let go of violence and greed and create a new civilization of compassion and understanding. Earth, our only home. Thank you. This summer, I'm enjoying writing a chapter on how compassionate socio-ecological vision, values, and action can affect public policy. This is for a book on applied spirituality and sustainable development public policy, sponsored by Jindal Global University in India. Currently on social media, I post on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn daily, including on my Facebook page, A Compassionate Civilization, and often on the Facebook page, Teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh. One of the administrators of that page, Carrie Bertrand, is presently narrating an audiobook of Compassionate Civilization. I post information and inspiration concerning climate chaos and related crises, what we can do about them, and how we can care for our own body-mind and our neighbors near and far. I also post on my blog and website. I dialogue with people who are reading or have read one of my books. Currently, I'm inspired by a young person who is Buddhist in Muslim Bangladesh, Ching Rong Marma, who found reading A Compassionate Civilization helpful to him in his life as a compassionate activist in his country, promoting the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. We correspond on social media and email. What a treat. Over these 5 years, my activism has included also getting out the vote for politicians who are committed to caring for all the people and all of nature. For the past 5 months, my activism has been focused where I live, here in the Swannanoa watershed. In the mountains of Western North Carolina, stretching from Asheville in the west to Black Mountain in the east, and then up toward Mount Mitchell, the highest point east of the Mississippi. Our watershed flows into the Tennessee watershed, then into the Ohio watershed, then into the Mississippi River, and then down the Mississippi River, and pouring out into the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean Sea, the Atlantic Ocean, and commingling with the Pacific Ocean. So from a tiny drop of water in our watershed can touch the globe. We hope that our small efforts here in the Swannanoa watershed can touch the world. So I'm part of an amazing group of watershed residents promoting awareness and action related to ecological, socioeconomic issues. We are using Kate Raworth's model of donut economics, which looks like this. Based on this model, we and our many partners are promoting the creation of a safe and just space for all the people based on a just social foundation that does not overshoot the ecological ceiling. Our current focus is on promoting food forests. One of our members has a beautiful food forest, or permaculture, or whatever you wish to call it, a home garden. It's so inspiring to be in and walk through, and his passion is so touching. Also, home solar energy. One of our members is demonstrating that and is helping others. Housing for the homeless, working with beloved Asheville to help our homeless get tiny homes and the support they need. Getting capital to those without access. One of our members has decades of experience getting capital to people who have no access to capital, particularly the Black and Brown and Indigenous folks. So that's part of our focus. Also increasing water management, particularly the runoff into Black Mountain. That is a big issue. And improving gender equality. We were all saddened, of course, by the recent Supreme Court decision, and we are doing what we can here in our watershed to focus on full gender equality, and of course, reducing carbon emissions as we can. So our hope is that our work can be a demonstration to other groups in our county, Buncombe County, also in our state, North Carolina, in our country, the old US of A, and around our beautiful planet Earth. This is our hope and our dream and our prayer. So, but to do all of this, how do we care for ourselves and others? To care for myself and others in this critical moment, I practice and recommend daily exercises of mindful breathing while sitting, walking, and eating, and also when you wake up in the middle of the night. And breathing in gratitude and breathing out gratitude, breathing in peace, breathing out peace, breathing in understanding, breathing out understanding, breathing in compassion, breathing out compassion. I also recommend I do mantras, care for those far and near, exercise, walking, healthy food, enough sleep, reading, speaking, writing, attending retreats, and of course, political activism. We can live in gratitude, happiness, and compassion, even in this time of immense suffering and collapse, social and ecological collapse is upon us, my friends, as you know. So some of my challenges, Justin asked us to what our challenges were, include how to expand and deepen the impacts of my writing, talks, and watershed activism. I'm really curious, I really want to know, what are your challenges facing your activism of speaking, writing, and in other ways related to the climate crisis? And Justin also asked, how can others help? I guess me, us, all of us. Others can help by reading and promoting books and other media on compassion and ecological action. Especially, I would lift up Kate Rayworth's book, Donut Economics. Kate is from Oxford, and one of her colleagues, a professor from Oxford, visited us here in our little watershed of Swannanoa and spoke to us recently, most motivating, about how the donut economic model is being used in Birmingham and in Amsterdam with tremendous results. So we were encouraged by that. And Kate's book, I really recommend to you, Donut Economics. And also maybe beginning your own local demonstrations using the donut economic approach or other approaches. And there are many wonderful approaches. One is some of my Institute of Cultural Affairs colleagues in Denver, but also in Southern California, are facilitating climate forums, climate action forums, neighborhood by neighborhood, to wake people up, get people talking about and taking action related to climate, the crisis there locally. So I would love to know what you're reading, what is inspiring you, equipping you as a climate justice activist and a writer and a speaker and however you do it in your place, in your life. May all beings everywhere, including you and me, realize peace, happiness, understanding, and compassion. May it be so. Thank you.